Guys, this is going to be a really quick video talking about AV blocks. So this is basically all of the blocks, the 3 or 4 types of blocks that can happen in the heart with characteristic EKG findings. So let's get right into this. To begin, this is the normal EKG. So I'm just going to kind of go through just the general parts of the EKG. I'm not going to get into what each section means and all that as far as with the action potential, but we'll save that for another video, and I'll assume that you already know a little bit about that. So to begin, this first part of the graph right here, that is the P wave. Okay? And then you have the QRS complex. And that is this big tall thing right here, all of the parts of it. So going from the bottom here to the top and then back down, that's all the QRS complex. And then this is the T wave. Okay, and like I said, each section of this means something, but we'll get in that in another video. That's not really important as to what we're talking about. I want to get right into the findings of the AV blocks and how to differentiate between the 3 main types. Okay, so the first one we're going to get into is a first degree AV block. And in this block, this is really simple to detect. In a first degree AV block, all you're going to find, the only thing wrong with it is going to be a PR interval that is greater than 5 small blocks. What do I mean by that? So here, let me explain a little bit about an EKG. When you're looking at an EKG strip, there's different parts you got to realize. So first of all, there's these large blocks, okay? Large boxes. And you can see how the lines here are thicker, are like darker at these the boundaries of the large box. Now, one large box contains, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals 5 small boxes. Now, as far as timing for EKG machines and how it works, one small box equals 0.04 seconds. Okay? 0.04 seconds. So that means that one large box, which has, remember, 5 small boxes, so you would just do 5 times 0.04. And 5 times 0.04 is 0.2 seconds. Okay, and sometimes you'll see instead of 0.2 seconds, they'll just turn it into milliseconds. So instead of 0.2, it'll be like move the decimal place 3 times. So here. So it'll be 200 milliseconds for the total time of one large box. So I said all that to say this. In this situation, you have a PR interval that's greater than 5 small blocks. And that just means the PR interval. Well, what is the PR interval? So this is important too. The PR interval is found from the very start. Now, don't make a mistake and jump in like somewhere from the beginning or the end or whatever. The PR interval is from the very starting point, so here, of the P wave, remember, the P wave, goes all the way until the R interval, which is the very beginning. Just like it's the very beginning of the P wave, this is going to be the very beginning of the QRS complex, which is about right there. Basically, this should never be more than 5 small blocks, okay? Or you could say more than 200 milliseconds. So let's look right here at this patient who presumably has a first degree AV block. So let's count the blocks here. Starting from there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you see how there's an extra block. So this is telling you that this is already pathological. But when you look at the graph, here's the P wave, here's the QRS, and then you have the T right here. And then again, here's the P wave, QRS, T right here, P wave, QRS, T right here. So it has a correct pattern other than the PR interval being wrong. You look at the QRS looks normal. There's also other diseases I'll talk about in other videos where when the QRS is too long in this section, we'll talk about that in another video. But just for our sake, this is normal here. And the P wave, as far as how it looks, is normal. So other than the only thing that's wrong in this patient is the PR interval is greater than 5 small blocks. That that means that this patient has a first degree AV block. And this, yep, and that's the name of it, first degree block. Okay, so that's pretty easy. This one's usually not what's problematic for a lot of kids. Next one, now here's the name of it, but really this is under a classification called second degree AV block. Now, second degree AV block has two types within it. This is the first type. It's called a Mobitz type 1, so Mobitz I, or another name for it. They don't have to say Mobitz I, they can call it Wenckebach. Okay, so this is a second degree AV block. So in this one, this is what you're going to see. We're going to go back to the PR interval again. The PR interval is going to basically get gradually bigger and bigger. So you'll see the PR interval. Let me go down to the graph to show you what I mean. So here's the P wave, and here's the QRS, and then here's the P wave, here's the QRS, P wave, QRS, right? P wave, QR. Okay, so let me show you what has happened. You're going to notice this is something strange going on right here. Okay, so here's the distance from the start. This is approximate because it's kind of hard to see the exact area of starting point. Here's the starting point, and then here's the starting point. So let's about look at that distance as that. All right, for this next section, here's the starting point, and then here's that. So now this is like this. Look at this one. Here's the starting point, here's this. Do you notice what's happening? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we get to this. Here's the starting point, and look, there's literally nothing. There's no QRS. So the PR interval gets bigger and bigger, until a dropped beat occurs. And remember, until a drop beat occurs. Sorry for my bad handwriting. Okay, so remember that a beat is just really the QRS. The QRS is what does the ventricular contraction, or what's considered a heartbeat. So in this situation, what you want to look for is that PR interval going from the P. You want to see if it's getting wider and wider and wider. And if it's getting wider and wider and wider, and then all of a sudden you have a missed QRS or a missed beat or a dropped beat, that is a Mobitz I, and another name for that, you can say in parentheses, is Wenckebach. Now, this is the way I remember it, and this is kind of bad, so I'm sorry if this offends you, but this is what helped me, and I never forgot it. In babies, you've heard the term, like, their parents would say, like, in a male baby, they'll say winky as far as the male genitalia of a baby, right? It's a slang. And you know, with, like, that should remind you of penis, right? And so, in this condition, a penis, like in an adult, we're going back to an adult now, in a person who's having sex, of course, an erection happens, right? So the penis gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then after sex, it goes back down, which is for the drop section. So that's kind of stupid. I'm sorry if that made you mad or whatever, but that always helped me to understand it. So whenever I see Wenckebach, I think of Winky, and that reminds me of that whole thing. Okay? So this is second degree AV block. All right, the type 1. So now let's go into the next one. We are getting into, now this is Mobitz II. Now in this one, there's no other name for it, okay? It's just Mobitz II. And in Mobitz II, you have, so let's look at it, what's going on in this situation. So here's our PR interval. It starts here, and it goes, and then there, it goes to there. And then this one, it goes here, goes to there. PR interval goes here, goes to there. And then a PR interval here, and look, nothing. All of a sudden we have a misbeat. And then we go again here to there. Do you notice that all of these distances are exactly the same? But then out of nowhere, you have a drop beat. No, there's no QRS. And then back to normal again. And then it would proceed and go on in this kind of pattern. So in Mobitz II, the PR interval is normal. The PR interval is normal and consistent. It never changes. There's no gradual increasing. There's no increase. It doesn't even have an increased PR interval. The PR interval is within the correct range. It doesn't change, but then out of nowhere you have a drop beat, and it's usually in a pattern of like 3 to 1 or 2 to 1 or something like that. So in this situation, you have 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, then drop. So this is a 3 to 1, but that's not really important to know. Usually you would see a 3 to 1 or a 2 to 1. But so in Mobitz type 2, the PR interval is normal, and then just a random dropped beat. Okay? And that's one just as easy as that. That's not complicated at all. All right, and then we're moving on to third degree. Now this is the last one that we're going to talk about. In a third degree AV block with a junctional escape, you can ignore that part. That's kind of, it's telling you why you have a third degree block. That's not really important to know. So in third degree AV block, basically, now this is to me the hardest one. And that's why when I'm trying to, like when I have a question that's asking about AV blocks, I go in a two-step process. Oops, sorry if that. All right, so this is what I do. I do step 1 and I do step 2. All right, in step 1, every time I get a question, like usually when I get a question, a step 1 question, and I'm doing practice problems, the first thing I do is look at the answers, and that can kind of put your mind into the correct setting of what you can kind of expect in the question a lot of times. So the first thing I do when I notice that they're giving all types of answers involving AV blocks or whatnot, the first thing I do, if they give you an EKG, I look for the third degree AV block first. And so in a third degree AV block, what you're going to find is the same PP interval and the same RR interval. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. Okay, I told you that this, okay, let's look right here, that this is the P wave, right? The P wave. And in this situation, the P wave, when you look at as far as the distance from one P wave to the next P wave, so that's right here, this is called the PP interval, going from the beginning of one to the beginning of the next. Okay, that's the PP interval. Now, let's look from here then, the start, remember the start of it. Go from here to here, a little bit farther than that. That's another one, and then you go. So something I want you to know is this. The reason that third degree AV block is hard to detect, let me clear everything here. The reason that third degree AV block can be kind of hard to detect is because what you can have, basically what you're having is the atria and the ventricles, are not communicating with each other at all. It's a complete block. At all. So, and also another thing maybe to kind of help you see what's going on here, say this is a heart. And we know that the SA node is up here in the right atrium, and then there's an AV node here, the AV node, and then you have a bundle of His, and then you have it split into the bundle branches, and then you have these Purkinje fibers down here. So the SA node is what controls the normal. This is the thing that actually controls the heart rate in a normal patient with no problems. But when the SA node has a problem, then it will go to the next section that will be able to control one of the other pacemakers, the other pacemaker that has the next highest heart rate. So you can imagine the SA node is actually beating the fastest inherently than all of the other nodes. Like say this is the AV, this is the bundle His, and then this is the bundle branches, and this is Purkinje fibers. So when the SA node goes bad, these other nodes have to take over, and they don't beat as fast as the SA node. So in this situation, you have some sort of block in either the bundle of His or the Purkinje fibers themselves, the bundle or the Purkinje fibers, that's causing a complete block of the signal coming from the SA then to the AV and then down, which would normally go to the ventricles. So in this patient, what actually happens is the SA node doesn't catch on that it's not sending the signal down. So the SA node is beating independent. The SA node is making the atria contract, which is causing these P waves, right? But the ventricles are contracting on their own accord because they have no signal from the SA. So they think, oh, I need to take over, and because something's wrong with the SA, but really there's just a block. So the ventricles are contracting at their own rate. And you see that they're having and as far as the distance between QR, like the QRS to QRS, is called the RR interval. And remember earlier I told you the distance from one P wave to the next P wave is the PP interval. These, when you look at a third degree AV block, the distance, the PP intervals will be the same for every single segment. But why it sometimes doesn't look like it's the same is because what happens is if the atria is beating independently, then sometimes whatever rhythm the atria is beating by itself, sometimes they will be within the QRS. For example, this is the distance that we've just estimated, right? The PP interval. Say you would continue this distance, right? And you're going to the next one here, and then eventually, this is like too short, but eventually you're going to have a PP interval because the ventricles are beating independently of this. Eventually they're going to overlap, and the P wave will end up being hidden within the QRS. So it will be very difficult to realize. It'll look like all of a sudden we don't have a P wave, but we really do. It's just within the QRS. Look right here. It happened, but it happened in the T wave. This P wave right here has been hidden within the T wave. So it looks like this is all the T wave, but actually right here, this is a mix between the T wave and the P wave because they're beating independently, or the QRS is beating independently of the P wave. So naturally, the T wave follows a QRS. So because it's not in order with the atria, you have this, it's ordered as far as separately, but they're not ordered together. And that's what a third degree AV block is. So in a third degree AV block, the atria and ventricles are not communicating at all, and therefore you will have a consistent PP interval and a consistent RR interval. But remember I said that the SA node is the fastest beating part of the heart, and because it can't get down to the ventricles, you're going to have more atrial contractions, or P waves, in the EKG. You're going to have more of these than there are ventricular contractions, but they're not going to be working together. So the distances will be correct, but you'll see there'll be no sort of pattern when you look at trying to find a pattern of them working together as far as to generate the normal sinus rhythm. So I hope I may have messed up the explanation that a little bit, but I hope that makes sense. One last thing I want to talk to you about is I've seen questions that covered not really with first degree AV block, because there's so many causes of a first degree AV block, and a first degree AV block is asymptomatic. It doesn't really cause problems. So as far as you locating where exactly the problem is, there's so many things that can cause it, and it's not important to know. So just kind of know how that looks and presents. But when you get into second degree AV blocks, the two types, and third degree AV blocks, it's important to know where the most common problem in the heart it is. So for example, in this situation, let's do my little heart. This I'm going to do a square to keep it simple so I don't butcher this too bad. So remember in a Mobitz type 1 or a Wenke block that you have progressively increasing PR intervals, which is right here, and it gets bigger and bigger until eventually you have a dropped beat, and the drop beat is right here. So in this situation, in a Mobitz type 1 or Wenke block, AV block, the problem lies in the AV node. The problem is in the AV node. Sometimes they'll give you an EKG and they'll say, where's the problem in this patient? In almost all cases of Mobitz type 1, not every single case, but most cases, the issue is at the AV node. It's not at the bundle of His, it's not at the bundle branches, it's not at the Purkinje fibers, it's at the AV node. Okay, that's just something you have to memorize. All right. In Mobitz type 2, this is the one, remember, where the PR intervals are normal, they're not too long, everything's in order, and then just randomly for no reason you lose a QRS. That's the Mobitz type 2, and it's usually in a pattern of 3-to-1 or 2-to-1. And so in this situation, the problem is not in the AV node, the problem is either in the bundle of His, or the Purkinje fibers. Kind of a little bit of both, you could say. But basically, the problem here is either in the bundle of His or the Purkinje fibers. So it can be either one of those, but the problem is not really in the AV node. The problem here is a little bit lower. So back to my little terrible drawing of the heart. Here's a square. Here's the sections of the heart. So right here, I'm just kind of estimating. This isn't the exact spot. That's the AV node, and then here's the bundle of his, and then the bundle branches, and then this is the Purkinje fibers on each side. So the problem is not here. The problem is actually somewhere in these sections. It's not in the AV node, okay? So it's not here. It's actually going to be somewhere lower than that. Okay, so that's Mobitz type 2, where the problem happens. And then we move into a third degree AV block. And this is the same thing. Where's the problem? In this situation, the problem is going to be, again, not in the AV node. The problem is going to be either in the bundle of his or the Purkinje fibers. Okay, so remember, let's go over it again. In first degree heart block, there's many things that can cause it, and it's asymptomatic, so you can't really locate a really predominant area of the heart that's messed up. In second degree, let's say Mobitz type 1, that problem is going to be in the AV node, so a little bit more superior to the rest of these heart blocks. Where's where the problem is. Then in second degree, in Mobitz type 2, the problem is going to be either in the bundle of his or the Purkinje fibers. And now in third degree AV block, same exact thing as the Mobitz type 2. The problem is in either the bundle of his or the Purkinje fibers. Okay, so I just wanted to say that kind of at the very end. Oh, also something that's really important that I've seen as a question as well. When a patient has Lyme disease, the AV block that can sometimes be associated with severe Lyme disease when it affects the heart is a third degree AV block. It's a complete AV block, okay? So a very serious one that would require a pacemaker, okay? So I hope that cleared everything up for you. If this helped you in any sort of way, please like, subscribe, share the video. And when you subscribe, let me also remind you to hit the little bell icon. That will let you know anytime I release new videos. I'm usually releasing new videos, usually about 2 to 3 a week. So you'll be notified when new videos come out. Also, you're welcome to leave comments in the comment section about if you want me to do a video on any other sections or something that's really kind of difficult and hard to understand for the step 1. All right, guys, I will see you in another video. See you later.